Yeah, so we've been working a little bit with Chris on the range. He struggled losing a little bit of distance with his irons. And so we've noticed in the data that we've collected that his swing has gotten a little bit too short and a little bit too quick. Pretty common problem we see with a lot of golfers. And so we're gonna work today on getting his swing a little bit slower going back, getting that tempo ratio right where we want it, and also a little bit longer so that we can create a little bit more speed going through the ball, a little bit more distance. All right, so we're gonna have you hit a few balls, Chris.
We're gonna start you in discovery mode to get a little look at your numbers here.
Okay.
How'd that one feel?
Plus 1.1 inches.
A little fat, pretty good.
A little heavy, okay.
A little heavy.
All right, hit one more for us.
Okay.
And Matt's just collecting up some data.
54-inch backswing on that first one.
Okay, so on this one, I want you just to feel a little bit slower and smoother going back and see if you can create a little bit more turn back away from the ball.
Length of backswing 55.9 inches.
So we can see there he added about 1.5 inches of backswing length on that second swing.
And typically when we put this on a launch monitor, we can definitely see a correlation between the length of backswing and the carry distance.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Keep going.
Let's hit one more.
Okay.
Beautiful swing, Chris.
Thank you, Stephanie.
55.9, so those last two swings, exactly the same backswing length. And one thing that you were touching on a little bit as well is the tempo numbers. So in the deWiz, we can see your backswing time and your downswing time. So that swing, 0.69 seconds on the backswing compared to the first swing with a little bit of a shorter backswing length, that was 0.63 seconds. So nearly a half a second longer on that last swing than the first swing, which is what we were looking for, trying to extend that backswing and also slow it down a little bit in that tempo.
Can you tell me a little bit about his transition number?
Yeah, so we look at the transition number and he's hovering right around 1.5 inches. We were 1.1, 1.5, and then that last swing was actually 2.6. But we see that the ball flight is pretty straight. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so one thing that we've worked on a lot is as he's coming down, Chris does have a little bit of a move over the top coming down, but that's not always a bad thing. You can see that sometimes with some really great players as well, because he then is able to shallow out the club as he comes into impact. You play a pretty straight ball, which is excellent. So that number for us is really good in that 1 to 1.5 range.
So what we're gonna do now is, if we wanted to work and really work on that length of backswing number and making sure we're consistently hitting kind of that 56-inch mark, which is where we found the last two swings to live at, what we're gonna do is we're gonna activate the learning stimuli. So the learning stimuli is gonna give some biofeedback to Chris if he is unable to hit that 56-inch mark. So
don't get nervous. We're not gonna shock you. I promise you'll be okay.
What we're gonna do to start is we're gonna set the level of our learning stimuli. So I'm gonna start you at level 3. This is generally the level that works for people. Did you feel that?
Yep.
How did it feel? Uncomfortable? Was it, do you think you'd feel that in the midst of a swing?
Yeah, I think you would feel it in the midst of a swing.
Okay.
Like a little pinch.
Yep, okay.
Not
So,
painful though?
No,
Okay,
not painful.
excellent.
So we'll set him at level 3. And what we'll do is we're gonna go into practice and learn. We're gonna go into practice our length of backswing. And for you, we're gonna set your minimum backswing distance to, call it 56.5 inches. So we were at 55.9 on those last two swings. We're really gonna work on trying to lengthen that swing. It's not necessarily about producing the results right away, but it's getting that feeling and that understanding of where that 56-inch mark is. So I'm gonna set my minimum distance to 56.5 inches. I'm gonna activate the learning stimuli. And now, when we go to hit a ball, if you don't reach that 56.5-inch mark, you're gonna feel that stimuli right there on your wrist.
The thing I love about this is that you're gonna feel it in real time. So it's going to really play into the neuroscience as your body is practicing through this, using this device, to feel it immediately, and you can really make changes much quicker that way.
Okay.
backswing
It didn't get pinched.
56.8 inches.
Excellent.
56.8 inches, so 3/10 higher than what we were looking for. You did that too easily. We're gonna bump it up a little more.
Okay.
We're gonna go up to 57.5 inches. Really work on stretching that out and lengthening the swing. So we were at 56.8. We're gonna go up to 57.5 is the goal.
I think I got
Length
there.
of backswing 58.4 inches.
You got there. The result wasn't necessarily what we were looking for, but we saw that from your first swing at 53 inches to that last swing, 58.4. Maybe 58.5 isn't where you would want to live, but we can see how quickly just the mental idea of, all right, I need to swing that club longer to be able to get there. Let's hit one more. 57.5 is still the goal.
56.4.
Do you feel it?
Yeah, it's just a tiny little pinch.
Gives you that instant feedback.
Instant feedback. I knew I didn't get it there.
So the instant feedback, the real-time data, being able to work on whatever it is in your golf game, whether it's trying to lengthen your swing, whether it's trying to groove that transition, being able to set that learning stimuli makes it that much easier to practice with the deWiz.
And when working with students, sometimes you want to over-exaggerate things to be able to really make changes in the swing. So we might not necessarily, you and I know working together, you wouldn't necessarily want your backswing to be 58 inches, but if you set that parameter and work on that over time, it allows you to then be in a comfortable spot when you are under pressure or when you are playing.
Yeah.
Stephanie, Chris, thanks guys for joining us. To learn more about deWiz Golf, you can go to dewizgolf.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube at deWiz Golf as well.